Hey, I'm Pete for Film Doc Productions and welcome back to another episode of our How to Get Better Showreels video series. Let's talk about the very important differences in between filming a showreel scene and filming anything else. According to some people, a showreel scene should be done the exact same way as a big production. Furthermore, if you hire them, this is how it will be. In my opinion, firstly, it wouldn't, and secondly, it shouldn't. First thing first, if you ever seen the credits of a bigger production, you probably noticed that there are hundreds or even thousands of people are working on them. But even if it's a very low budget independent project, there are still dozens of people out there ensuring the best result. Producers, director, DP, sound recordist, ACs, ADs, gaffers, spars, grips, best boys, runners, makeup artists, production designers, script supervisors, and the list goes on. And the reason for that is that each of these people are specialized in one thing that they are the best at, and they are focusing and taking care of that one thing, which is obviously a way lot better than having one person focusing and taking care of everything. Now, when it comes to filming a showreel scene, the crew will be no more than 2-3 people, and the amount of footage that a big crew spends a full day and thousands of pounds to get, a 2-3 people showreel crew has to get in a few hours and from a couple of hundreds of pounds. So no, it will not be done the exact same way. But that doesn't mean that you can't get a really professional cinematic result, it just means that it wouldn't be done the same way. There are things at every stage of the production that are better to be done differently. Let's start with pre-production. Normally the first step is to write the script in a way that it's best to tell the story and to make it commercially sellable, but let's just skip that topic completely. So once the script is done, then they start sourcing everything that it requires, such as locations, props, costumes, and everything else. When creating a showreel scene from scratch, it could be a really good idea to swap this order. Let's see what resources you already have and then build the scenes around those resources. For example, you might have or can get access to a great location. Tell the writer so they can write the scene to that specific location. You can still play the same character and have the same conflict, but now it can be set in a place that provides extra production value at no extra cost. The same goes for props, costumes, artworks, anything. If you have something that you think can be used and would add value, let us know to see if we can use those for your scenes. These little details will make a big difference. Also, when it comes to writing a showreel scene, it's better to write it in a way that it serves not the story, but the actors. Firstly, it has to be written in a way that allows you to really show off. Can you cry on cue? Let's write something that would allow you to do so. Can you do a convincing certain accent or speaking another language as it was your first? Let's put down 2 lines in the script in that language in a way that it makes sense. And other great tricks when it comes to writing script for a standard showreel scene that has 2 characters in it is to avoid back and forth conversation with very short lines like you say a line, the other actor says a line, back to you, back to the other person, etc. The problem with that is that if you take out any 40 seconds from a scene like this, roughly 20 seconds will be on the other actor. You are losing out 20 seconds worth of opportunity to market yourself. So the way I like to design showreel scenes is that letting one character to dominate the first half of the scene, so it will be mainly on one actor, while the other person just gives reactions and delivers 1 or 2 lines just to give something to react to, like an 80-20 ratio. That can go on for a good 50-40 seconds, then swap, the other character takes over and dominates the rest of the scene the same way. That gives both actors really great showreel material that makes them look like the star of the scene. Obviously, not every scene can be designed this way, and it's specifically difficult with comedies, but it's good to bear this technique in mind when thinking of scenes and try to find a way to build it up this way. Like the first character is talking about an issue, or opens up about a problem, or shares his or her point of view of the conflict. Then the other person gives a solution for the problem, or provides emotional support for the issue, or shares his or her point of view of the conflict. When it comes to filming, there will be a lot of difference there too. Firstly, there won't be a big crew on set, so you will have to take on some of the roles, such as production design, including you being your own makeup artist, preparing with props and costumes and any additional set design element, which we discussed in the production design episode, so check it out if you haven't yet. On the bright side, unlike with any other type of production, you get a say on things, like your approach to the character and performance. It's also up to you how much direction you want. You might want the director to give you strict directions, but if you want to do it on your own way and you need the crew only to film you performing in a way you find it the best, it's completely fine as well. But the biggest difference at the filming stage is normally the blocking, staging and coverage. That all comes down to the same issue, the lack of time. When you have only 3-4 hours to film a complete scene that you would normally have 10 to 12 hours or sometimes even days, then you will have to start making sacrifices. And the quality of the shots, both visual and audio, should not be the sacrifice. And if you don't want to lose quality, you will have to keep things a lot more simple and cut down the number of shots. That starts with the blocking. Keep it simple. Most of the made-from-scratch showreel scenes are standard sitting and talking or standing and talking or sometimes walking and talking scenarios. Less movement means less necessary shots to tell the story and more time to provide higher quality. If you are keep moving around the set to deliver a line at each corner, that would require a quite complicated staging and lighting setup and twice as many shots that could only be done by sacrificing quality at some point. Once you manage to keep the blocking simple, it's time to think about staging and coverage. Where to place the camera, how it will be moving, how many shots we need to tell the story. In a real production, it normally goes like this. There is an establishing shot to get an idea where we are, a master shot where we see the entire action, medium and close-up, then reverse them, insert shots which are basically short pickup shots of things that the audience needs to see, and additional stylish shots to make things more interesting and to add more production value. That means that with a simple 2 people sitting and talking scenario, it easily can be 8 to 10 shots, but what you actually have time for is roughly the half of that. So once again, you're gonna have to do things differently and keep it more simple. Think of it of a showreel perspective. If it was a real production and you would have all these shots in the scene, what that you would actually use from them? Possibly the mediums, close-ups, and that's it. That's what you actually need for your showreel, to see your acting. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have additional shots. You can, if you have the time. What it means is that don't sacrifice the quality of the necessary shots in order to be able to add more that you don't even need that much. Let's get the necessary shots done first, and then if you have the time, you can add the rest of the shots to add more production value. Lastly, the post-production stage. Normally when a scene is edited, we always cut to the most interesting bit that the audience wants or needs to see. We are following the action or the emotions in a way we would if we were witnessing that situation. Someone is talking, we would look at that person, so we cut to him. Then the other person says something, we would turn our head, so we cut to that person. Then one of them shows something, we would want to see what is that, so that would be an insert shot. If somebody says something harsh, we would instantly turn to see the other person's reaction. That's a reaction shot. Most of the time, reactions are even more important and more interesting than delivery. You can see that in movies a lot when they don't show the person who is actually talking, the shot stays on someone who just reacts.
Trust me. It's Chris, isn't it?
Personally, I really love to follow the rule of reactions over delivery, but when I edit showreel scenes, I'm more biased towards the person who would use that bit in their showreel. If I know that the first half of the scene would be used by person A, I tend to cut less than I normally would to person B and vice versa. Because once again, from a showreel point of view, I found it better this way, as it gives better showreel material for all actors. So there you have it, the big and important differences in between a made-from-scratch showreel scene and any other type of production. But that's it for now, thanks for watching, I hope you found it useful, and I will see you next time. A problem, or shez. On the bright side, when you have 3-4 hours to film a complete when you have only 3-4 hours to film a complete scene, a master shot to